Okay, so slope-intercept form. So that's what we're going to work on today is we're going to write equations given the slope and the y-intercept, and then we're going to find it on a graph and then write an equation. This is something that you're already familiar with from Algebra 1, but we are going to go ahead and review. So it says linear equations are frequently written in slope-intercept form, which is y equals mx plus b, where m is the slope and b is the y-intercept. Now let's go over again. Let's kind of recall what is slope. So it's rise over what? Run. Okay. Now remember when we find slope, the rise, it's either up or it can fall. It can go down. And then your run, the first step is always to the right. So when we count in a minute, you're going to go from point to point. You're going to go up or down, and then you're going to count to the right. Y-intercept. What is y-intercept? Right, where the line intercepts, see which axis? The y-axis. So if that's my line, where that graph line crosses the y-axis. Okay, so now for the next couple, all we're going to do is we're going to go replace the m and b with the values that are given. So this one, it says slope equals -3, y-intercept equals 2. So it's going to be y equals, what's my m? What's my slope? And then that always gets a x, okay? So always put in the x with slope. And then what's your y-intercept? So if it's +2, I'm going to write +2. Let's try again. So we got y equals, what's my slope? -1. Do I have to write the 1? No, you don't, because you should know there's an imaginary 1 right here. If you do write the 1, is it wrong? No, it's not, okay? But on most of the equations that you'll see, they're not going to write it. Okay, and then I have a 7, so what is that? +7. Because I forget. Okay, next one. Y equals, what's your slope? 1/4 x, and your y-intercept is 0. Do you have to write +0? No. If there's nothing back here, you should automatically know that it is a 0. This one, y equals, what's my slope? -5/2 x, and then what's my y-intercept? -3, because it's negative. So that's how you write them given the slope and y-intercept. Now, if we have to go find them, we just look at a graph and we'll identify both parts. So we'll start, when we identify from a graph, the easiest way to start is with your y-intercept. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to find our y-intercept. So how you do that is start at 0, 0, and then count up or down. So if I start at 0, 0, I count up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So what is your y-intercept? 7. Now what you're going to do is you're going to count from point to point, starting with the point on the left. You move left to right, okay? Just like when we read left to right. You're going to do the same thing on a graph. Point on the left and point on the right. You're going to count down or up first and then over to the right. So this is down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So down 6 is negative. Over 1, 2, 3, 4. So if you get this and you can reduce it, this is when you want to reduce. So are they both even? Are they both divisible by 2? Yes, so divide them by 2. It would be -3 halves. So now take our values and we're going to plug into our slope-intercept equation. So y equals, what's my m, what's my slope? -3/2, and then what goes right here? X. And then my y-intercept, +7, because it's positive. Because it's going down. So if I have to go down, if I have to count down to get to my next point, it's negative. Remember, if you put a little man on the left of your graph, like on the top left, okay, which way would he fall? Down. So that's negative. But you always have to put him on the left side. Okay, let's try again. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to identify my y-intercept. So from 0, 0, count. It goes down 1, 2, 3. So what's your b? -3. Good. Now count from the point on the left to the point on the right. So my first movement is up 2. So that's going to be +2. Then count over. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Does 2/5 reduce? No. So now all we got to do is write our equation. Y equals, what's your m? 2/5 x, and then your b is -3. Good job. Okay, number 10. Identify first your y-intercept. So start at 0, 0 and count until you get there. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And I went down. So is this positive or negative? -6. Good. Now count from point on the left to point on the right. So this one goes up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 5/5 reduces to what? 1. So let's write our equation. So it's y equals, do I have to write 1? No. I can just write x because that means there's a 1 right in front of it. And then what's your b? -6. Okay, we're going to keep practicing. Practice makes perfect. We only have a few more, 5 more. It didn't take us very long to get through them. Okay, identify your y-intercept first. It's where the line crosses the y-axis. Start at 0, 0. Count 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So your y-intercept is 5. Your slope, point on the left to point on the right. Okay, so let's count. So it goes down 1, 2. So how do I write down 2? And then over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So 2/8. Are those both divisible by 2? All right, so reduce it. So divide it. It's going to become -1, 4. So that's my slope. Y equals -1/4 x plus 5. Questions so far? All right. Next one. What's your y-intercept? 0. And then count from point to point. So from this point to this point, it goes up 1, 2, 3, 4. Over 1, 2, 3. So 4 over 3. How do I write that as an equation? Y equals 4 over 3 x. Okay, do me a favor real quick. Give me a thumbs up if you have it, a thumb sideways if you kind of got it, and thumbs down if you absolutely don't get it. Okay, good. Okay, let's do just a few more. Okay, I'm going to do one more, and then I'm going to let you attempt 15 and 16, and then we're going to check it. Okay? So, what is the first thing that we find? Which one? The y-intercept. I heard somebody say it. How do we find it? How do I know what number that is? Yeah, it goes up 1 from 0, 0. So I know that is a 1. Now what can get most people is finding the slope. So find the dot on the left and you count to the dot on the right. So this one from here to here, we go down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So if I go down, what does that mean? It needs to be a negative. And then we go over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Does negative 5, 6 reduce? No. So I write my equation, y equals negative 5 over 6x, and then plus 1. Okay, I'm going to give you a minute to attempt 15 to 16. If you don't get completely done, that's fine. We're going to attempt 15 and 16. Okay, on 15, tell me what you got for a y-intercept. Negative 2 is correct. This is where it gets people because they want to go here and then here. You got to start on the point on the left. So what was your slope? Right, because it was up 2 over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And 2 over 6 becomes 1/3. So y equals 1/3 x minus 2. All right, what'd you get on the next one? What was the y-intercept? 8. And what'd you get on your slope? 10 over 2. Okay, because from this point to this point, it went down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And then over 1, 2. 10 over 2 becomes, negative 5. So your equation, y equals negative 5x plus 8. Good job. So now what